let me just brief you about some history of AEM. So AEM actually in its earlier days was called as Days CQ, because there was a company with the name Days who has this tool with the name CQ, which was later acquired by Adobe, and Adobe renamed it from CQ to AEM, that is Adobe Experience Manager. So in earlier days, when this product was when this tool or when this product was with Days company, they had their different versions, like they had their 5.4 version, and then they released the 5.5, 5.6. With every version, they brought or they introduced some newer functionality. So till the point when it was with the Days CQ company, it was just a CMS. It was not an enterprise level CMS. Okay, so here you can manage the content of your website, and also like you can perform a lot of functionalities, but there were no other Adobe Experience Cloud tools like analytics and all those. So integration with all other tools like analytics, of course, is needing, or in case if you need personalization, then you would have to again use some other third-party tool. Like this CQ tool was not providing any other support, but you can build pages of your website, you can host your website. That's all you can do. You cannot integrate with any other tool. Like there is no direct way of integration, and like any analytics has to be tracked. So all those, like you have to deal with different entities. So there were multiple, like we have the 5.6, all these versions were there, and then Adobe acquired this product and named it as AEM, that is Adobe Experience Manager. And the first version that they released was 6.0. So 6. Was the first version that was released after this tool was named as AEM. And then they kept on releasing 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, and the latest one is being 6.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the latest is actually not 6.5, it is Adobe Cloud. I will tell you about Adobe Cloud also. So, what was the case with Adobe was that they were releasing newer version, like every year or maybe twice in a year, they were releasing new versions of AEM. Because of course, it's a tool, so they have to bring new functionalities, they have to bring new features, they have to fix. Just a minute. Like for every version, maybe of course every company tend to make bugs and tend to have some issues or bugs with their product, so they provide hot fixes. So to fix those issues with their versions, or to bring newer versions, they have to keep introducing newer versions of AEM. So what was the major problem with Adobe was, what they started facing is that all their clients had this major issue that every year or every 2 years, they have to upgrade their AEM instance. Like they may be running on 6.3, and then Adobe will ask them to upgrade it to 6.4 to start using the newer feature of AEM, or to start having the fixes of AEM. And by the time the company or the organization that is using Adobe Experience Manager, they migrate to 6.4, Adobe releases their newer version, that is 6.5. So just now you have migrated to the version 6.4, and 6.5 is already there into the market.
Yeah.
So that was the major issue. And see, migration of AEM from one version to another, like if you want to migrate to one version to another, it is very tedious task.
Yeah.
For the name medium level website, it's at least it consumes 2 to 3 months to migrate a single website from older version
Yeah.
to the newer version. Like I tell you one instance, like we were on 6.3 and we have to migrate to 6.4. And Adobe, in their documentation, their release note, they told that we have moved, or we have changed the hierarchy of a lot of our folders. Like I hope you know that till 6.3, our tags were a part of our ETC hierarchy. But by 6.4, Adobe suggested to move all our tags from ETC hierarchy to our content hierarchy. And similar is the case with client lips. Earlier they were placed inside the ETC, and now Adobe has asked to move it inside the apps hierarchy. So these were like, see, now if you have to move your tags, do you know about tags in AEM?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So see,
That's
tags.
the case that we have, like it's there is like in the website there is a card, something like in Amazon. So and then each card it's present one product, and then for instance that product has a label. That label it's
Exactly.
yeah,
Represented by
it's been
tags.
changed like time to time it will be changing.
Okay.
So yeah, we introduce it in a tag section.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, of course, to label something or to label, categorize something, to perform search on the basis of labels, so we basically use tagging. That is taxonomies. So tags were initially a part of some hierarchy, that is the ETC hierarchy, and with 6.4 Adobe said to move it into the content hierarchy.
Mhm.
Now, see this change. Consider your website has maybe 100, 500, or 600 pages. Now, on all those pages, of course, there is a huge possibility that there can be a lot of pages which would be referring tags.
Mm.
Wherever you would be using tags on the pages, there the whole content would have to be updated to where the old content was referring the tags at location etc. Now they have to start referring to the location
To
content.
the
And
content.
similar is the case with client lists. Earlier they were placed inside the etc, and now they are being placed inside the apps hierarchy. So any JS or any CSS or any of our file that is referring our client lists. I will tell you what is client libs is. We will discuss about that. But just one thing, for discussion for now purpose.
Mhm.
So since with this movement, of course, a whole lot of code will be affected. A whole lot of content will be affected by this. So all these things has to be taken care while migrating from a lower version of AEM to an higher. Also, when you move from a lower version like maybe 6.3 to 6.4 or 6.5, there are a lot of APIs that gets deprecated, and Adobe does clearly say that they do not provide support for deprecated things. And also, like if it's it's if it's deprecated, Adobe, like you yourself while migrating has to upgrade your code base to start using the upgraded APIs.
Mm.
So to migrate from one version to other, it was, see, if you want to migrate, of course, it at least 2 to 3 months job for a normal level website. And now, if you are migrating, let's okay, you define a team of 2 or 3 people with some QAs which will add 1 or 2 more people. So these many people will be assigned to a task where they will be performing the migration, and this migration task you are not bringing any newer functionality to your website or any
Mhm.
new feature to your website. It's all like background job. Okay,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
you are changing the platform or you're upgrading the version. Nothing from the end user perspective, or we are not delivering anything new to the end user.
Yeah.
So that is why to cope up with that problem, Adobe came up with Adobe as a cloud. That is Adobe Cloud. So
Mhm.
with Adobe Cloud, the main benefit of this is that any new feature or any new thing will automatically be available on Adobe Cloud, and you,
Mhm.
sorry for that, and you do not have to perform a migration work. So all those upgrades will be taken care by AEM, and you do not have to worry about it. So that's the major thing why Adobe has been moving from their version upgrade to Adobe as a cloud. So see, Of course, any new feature, it will automatically available. All the maintenance, all the monitoring, like any CPU utilization or any memory utilization, all those will be taken care by Adobe now with Adobe as a cloud. Any in case if anything breaks or any server is not responding, it is the responsibility of Adobe only to provide you with the new server, and they will from their end or from back end they will check that okay, if something is breaking or the server is not responding, then they will replace it. And by the time they say if there is a heavy load on the website, so from performance perspective also, if there is any heavy load on the website, they will automatically introduce new server by them. Okay, so all those infrastructure work, all those all the infra work, all the server maintenance work mm, will now be taken care by Adobe. So what's with Adobe Cloud, Adobe is saying is that you as an AEM developer now work as a developer and not an infra guy. And you should focus on delivering new functionalities to AEM. And not a whole lot of time of yours should be spent on making platform changes or upgradation changes. Because see, with upgrade, nothing what benefits will client gets
Yeah.
out from upgrade. It's all nothing from end user perspective they will get. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So that is why they came up with that Adobe Cloud. And with cloud, it's not that they will only be upgrading your instances to the newer version, so any new feature will be available, but also monitoring, also any utilization, CPU utilization, also in case they provide the complete support to the client that okay, if anything fails or any issue occurs, then they will take care of that. Any performance concern, you do not have to worry about monitoring and all. It is Adobe only who will be taking care. Okay.
Yeah.
This was the whole history. Initially, it was a CQ 5 days. Then Adobe also started releasing their version. But after 6.5, you would not find any newer version of AEM. It will all be Adobe Cloud. Now now the focus of Adobe has been to migrate all their clients from their own premises server, whether it can be any own premises in company server, or whether it can also be on some cloud, maybe AWS cloud.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they will
All,
do by it themselves, or they will get a content something or from the customers.
so see, it is the customer's job only to migrate their websites from their on-prem to Adobe Cloud. But yeah, they provide the complete support. Firstly, you need to get the license for this. So the license for this is altogether work in a different way. See, with 6.5, it was like the number of license. See, in case if you want to buy a single license, then the cost of single license is this. Or if you want to buy two licenses, then the cost of two licenses is this. But with Adobe as a cloud, the licensing thing is altogether works in a different way. Now, what they say over here is that we will charge you money on the basis of the traffic on your website, like the number of traffic or the number of user landing on your website or the number of user browses your website. On the basis of that, on the count of that, it will be decided upon the license cost. Okay. So there is no such license cost actually, but it's all the number of user or the traffic of the website that actually define the cost of your.
Something like AWS services, right? Like they say like how many memory users you want and something like that.
Yes, exactly. So yeah.
Do they use their own cloud or it's like
No, they do not have their own cloud. What they have done is they are also using Azure, that is the Microsoft one, and maybe some AWS server as well. And now on the top of that, they have done their own customizations. So they have what they have done is that they have created customization, and basically what they did is they it works in the containerized way. So every time we deploy the code on Adobe as a cloud server environment, like we deploy on any of the environment, then a container that gets created, and that container, or basically that image that gets created, and then that container image actually gets deployed on Adobe as a cloud.
I don't know.
So its working is altogether different. Of course, we will discuss more deep into this Adobe as a cloud later, how it works and all. But yeah, this is the story. This is the history behind this of why Adobe is moving to what here, and how the licensing will vary and how the things will vary. Okay.
Okay. Okay.